Hello, everyone, fellow MBA 570 entrepreneurship classmates. My name is Connor, and I'm going to be your host here for our video. My fellow group members are Oksana and Giorgio, and we comprise of group number 1. So for our assignment, we decided to interview an entrepreneur by the name of David Brock, who also happens to be a very good personal friend of mine. I've known Dave for, probably about 5 years now, and I thought that he has a perfect story and background for our assignment. So here's a photo of Dave, and that is his company's logo, DBI Staffing. And this is just for everyone watching to kind of get a visualization of who it is exactly we're talking about. So just a quick background on Dave. Dave is 42 years old, although he might not want to admit that, and he grew up on the North Shore of Long Island. Dave went to Penn State University, and he received his undergraduate degree in marketing. And from there, he completed his JD from Hofstra Law School. And Dave currently lives in downtown Manhattan with his wife and his son. So Dave is currently the president and founder of DBI Staffing. And DBI Staffing is an information technology staffing agency founded in 1999. Just a little bit about the firm. They are located in Midtown Manhattan, 12 East 44th Street to be more specific. And for people who might not know where that is, who aren't really familiar with New York City, it's about a baseball's throw away from Grand Central Station. And finally, DBI employs about 15 people, and that's mostly made up of recruiters and consultants. For those of you listening who are like me and said, well, what the heck is a staffing agency? Well, it's easier to think about it in terms of a dating agency. There are two groups of people. You have the clients, who are the companies that are looking for employees, and on the other hand, you have the candidates, who are these information technology professionals that are looking for jobs. And DBI is essentially the matchmaker and puts the two together. Now, obviously, it's a little more complicated than that. Of course, the recruiters at DBI have to get to know the candidates as best they can on a personal level to make the right recommendation to their clients. But in a nutshell, that's what and how a staffing agency operates. So Dave and DBI Staffing since inception have been extremely successful. Year over year, DBI has consistently increased their sales. And although Dave had said that they do have a few down quarters, it doesn't really cloud the larger picture. And to date, DBI has staffed over 1,300 candidates. That's approximately 81 people a year, or 1.56 people a week, which is actually pretty good. So like I had said before, David founded DBI in 1999, and the way in which he founded it is what I consider to be pretty funny. When Dave was around our age, in his mid-20s, he was running nightclubs and restaurants in East Hampton, Long Island. When you asked Dave, well, what did you want to do when you were younger? He said, I really didn't care, I just wanted to make a lot of money. So while he was gallivanting around in East Hampton, an older friend of his who happened to own his own IT recruiting firm had offered him a job that he ended up taking. Like what I believe to be many of us, Dave had no idea of what exactly this type of work entailed. Fast forward 3 years, and Dave had realized that he would be better off on his own versus staying at his current position. Dave said that this, quote, friend of his was not very nice, ethical, or honest in what he did, and this bothered Dave. He said, Connor, the things he was doing just weren't right. I remember thinking to myself, wow, if I was on my own, I would be doing so much better. People don't seem to like this guy at all, and he can still somehow get business. So that's exactly what I did. I went out on my own. And now Dave had told me that when he first went off on his own, he had rented an office building in Manhattan, where DBI still operates out of today, for $10,000 a month without even getting his first client. So whether you consider that cocky or confident, he definitely took a chance. So 16 years later, after staffing over 1,000 people and making millions of dollars, Dave is still at it today. And I had asked Dave what he attributes his success to, and his answers were pretty clear. Do the right thing. And I said, well, that's a pretty loaded answer. What do you mean? And Dave said, listen, there are people who make tons of money throughout the world sitting behind computers like we do. The difference is that we try to work on a very personal level. These candidates are coming to us much of whom have families and people to support looking for a job. We not only have to be professional, but also sympathetic to their wants and needs. After all, technology can be a very specific thing. After Dave had said that, I said, "Come on, you're going to tell me that the only goal to success is doing the right thing?" And Dave said, "Well, no, of course not." He said, "I have been very fortunate in that I surrounded myself with very smart and outgoing people, specifically my business partner, Shayna. She is 3 steps ahead of you before you can even think. Without her, DBI would not be what it is today. Also, I try to motivate my employees as much as I can. That's why my desk is right next to all of theirs. We are all one team, and I think that people tend to like me since I was just like them nearly 20 years ago." Now, 3 years ago, in 2012, Dave had also ventured into the restaurant business. Along with his wife and a third business partner, Dave had purchased and opened a bar/restaurant in his own stomping grounds, East Hampton, Long Island. It was called Hampton's Players Club and had a polo or equestrian theme to it. Well, the restaurant did not even last a year. And when I had asked Dave why he thought it didn't succeed, he said simply, "It just wasn't written in the stars." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And Dave said, "Well, I should have known that from the beginning it wasn't going to work. We had major issues with employees, kind of friends of friends situations, liquor licensing, and playing music past 6 p.m. And I said, "Playing music past 6 p.m.? What do you mean?" And he said there was this one neighbor who kept calling the cops on us, even when the restaurant wasn't open. So like I had said before, it just wasn't meant to be. After I had talked to Dave for a while, I finally said, "Okay, Dave, here you are, this really successful, self-made guy who had also gone through some ups and downs. What is the key to success for me and all of my classmates?" And at first, he gave us some pretty ugly advice. He said I would not want to be a kid in 2015. It is extremely difficult to not only figure out what you want to do, but also to find a job in that field. We had asked Dave, since being an IT recruiter / owning your own staffing agency wasn't your really dream or goal, what would it take for you to give it up? "Money," he said, "and a lot of it. DBI has great growth potential that I do not want to miss out on." And when I had asked Dave if he would ever start another venture, such as a restaurant, he said, "Not likely. I'm going to stick to what I know best." And Dave had said, "It is very important to follow your dreams and your passions. But with that being said, do not let an opportunity pass you by, no matter what you may think about the situation. In my case, it changed my life." So that concludes our group's entrepreneur interview video. Thank you for watching and following along with me. If you have any other questions for us or for David, please feel free to email us at connor.thumser@stonybrook.edu. And to learn more about DBI staffing and what they do, or to see a funny picture of me as an intern, you can go to www.dbistaffing.com.